Good afternoon, everyone. Just had a meeting at a local hotel. One of the guys from the gym has sort of asked, what we were up to and if you could get involved. And I thought it'd make a bit of decent content to share how these conversations that you're having over a prolonged period of time with people, building the relationships, like you never know out the blue how or where that relationship's going to go. I've been going to the same gym, leisure centre really, because it's got sauna, swimming pool and all that, and I've been going to the same gym now for 5 years. I've now done over 2.5 million quid with a business over that 5 years with people from the gym. So you never know where the relationships are going to lead. And this is why it's so important to just have integrity, be honest with your word. The first deal I did with somebody here, he was selling a local industrial unit. And I said to him in the sauna, I said, listen, if you can't sell it, let me get my head round there later and we'll see if we can buy it off you. Within half an hour, I'd gone down there and said, yeah, we can offer you this. He was happy with it. And within 48 hours, we had exchanged contracts. We had a bit of a long stop completion on it, so we didn't have to complete for 6 months or so, I think, on that one. And we actually needed to run over by a couple of weeks because the lender was asking all sorts of ridiculous questions. And I said to him, I'll give you another $5,000 now on what was meant to be completion day. I'll give him another $5,000 for the extension. And we didn't need to do that. Like, he was on board, but that act built the relationship, made it even stronger, even though there was a bit of a wobble with the deal itself. And now that guy, including using his properties for security for loans, which is to say, like, if we don't have the liquid cash, he lets us put his buildings up as security. So as long as the lender can have a first charge, they'll lend us more money, right? He lets us do that. Up to, we've borrowed from him in that sense, along with capital cash, circa £500,000 quid now, and that's going to rise soon. All of that from one of the first times I'd met this guy in the sauna. And other guys since then, obviously word gets around about what you're up to and whatever, particularly over prolonged periods of time. We've done, as I say, over 2.5 million quid of the business with people now. We've had another investor this morning who has offered us 15,000, which isn't a great sum of money in the property industry, but it's very useful in other businesses if that's what property's only one business. Loads of others out there. 15 grand can kickstart somebody's life. It can be the seed capital for a startup company. So, don't dismiss stuff like that. And this lady has offered us 15 grand, which is very useful for cash flow purposes. When we're needing to pay out planning application fees, heritage statement fees and all this stuff that the councils, in my opinion, highly unnecessarily need a lot of the time, and planning departments and whatever, but well, that's a different conversation. These lump sums of money, the 15 grand, help us to get through those periods until the deal is complete, the deal is sold, and we can pay these people back, refinanced, whatever it is. So the point is to build these long-term relationships. Be yourself today. Don't try and, swindle or short-term make a quick buck out of things. I had a meeting a week or so ago, and the guy asked us if we could lend him 10 grand. He was doing a deal on some commodity, and the commodity, he needed the capital to acquire it, and then he was going to sell it again, and we were going to make and split the profit. And we're going to do that deal. So it's a bit outside of our expertise because there's an element of trust there, and we're building relationships, he's utilising our capital. And it goes to show that the opportunities tend to open themselves up as you stay in the game, rather than thinking I'm going to do a deal quickly and get in and out and then I'll never speak to these people again. If you nurture these relationships, you don't even need to be doing any transactions, business transactions. If you're just yourself, act with integrity, be with them as you are rather than trying to be somebody else, your tribe finds you. The people that you should be around, you naturally gravitate towards them, they gravitate towards you. The people who don't vibe with you, that's fine. It's not personal, you know. But I mean, the point on what I'm saying here is that I've been going to the same gym 5-6 years, whatever it is. The amount of business that we've done is growing and will continue to grow. And that's because we're just honest with each other. We just do business as we say we're going to do business. We don't try and change the goalposts. If something's wrong, the deal is going south or whatever, or not as expected rather, we tell them. We tell these people, we say, you know, it's not going as we thought it was going to go. We need to extend the term, we need to change the strategic model, whatever we're doing, that's fine. I mean, the guy who has allowed us to use his property as collateral and lent us money as well, he's changed my life in terms of business. And I'm fairly sure some of the stuff that I've said to him, I've changed his life. Like I told him to get into Bitcoin a few years back, as an example. And I don't know, he's got like 4 or 5 of them or something. When at the beginning he was like, no, I'm not interested, blah, 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 blah. And he just took a punt when it was really low. So he's looking at that now thinking, flipping it, like, you know, this kid's made me X amount of wealth, whatever. So I know it's a change of content and, you know, situational, but these things grow and compound and layer on top of each other over time, and the relationships flourish. So I can never stress enough how important it is to continually build these relationships with people and build your network with people who are on their own forward trajectory. They don't necessarily need to be doing what you're doing, but they need to see the world in a certain way and be positive that, you know, they're adding value to the world. You can add value to them, they can add value to you. There's no fixed rule. You can't like say, yes, I'm gonna do this with that person and that with that person. You've just got to leave it open and see sort of where life takes the relationship, because when you sort of box things in, there's not enough space, if you like, for that situation to flourish. That's what I tend to find. It might be a bit esoteric or whatever. It's just the way that it seems to work, I think. You speak to people and it's really rigid and structured, which is a time and a place for that, particularly like accountants and stuff like that. But in terms of entrepreneurship and business, it's, in my opinion, should be much more open and free-flowing to see where the situation might lead and the relationship might lead. And also business partners. I hear it quite a lot that you shouldn't don't go into business with your friends or whatever. And I think that's absolute nonsense, I do. I think it's best to go in with friends, you bounce ideas off, it's always quite fun and freeing, and you know, you don't need to fall out. It's only if you turn into a dickhead that you end up falling out. You don't you're not meant to agree all the time with each other. So when you fall out, and when you have a disagreement, you don't need to have a row. You just say, yeah, you're probably right, or no, still don't agree with you, and you just sort of, you deal with it there and then. You just become mature adults. It's only immature people that fall out over disagreements. It's like, come on, grow up a bit. So that's my thoughts on relationship building and a few examples of how simply joining a gym and leisure club has completely changed my business and changed my life.